and then you'll cook the whole thing for half an hour. Very high temperature and pressure, cook it. Then it will come out like a black paste after that. It will be cooked until it's become black paste. So once it's dried, then it becomes a solid fuel. And that solid fuel, when you burn it, it won't release hazardous materials into the air. That's the one main advantage. Very little hazardous material. So all the other components yang hazardous, some more broken down already because of the temperature, broken down into some of them into the elements and things like that, right? So the liquid portion, it is highly quote unquote nutritious, but not nutritious for us, for the plants and fertilizer, because it's the organic part. So you can use the liquid component as fertilizer and solid for fuel. All right. So in Singapore, they also do this. But what do they do with the thing that comes out, the black paste? The what comes out, they use it for land reclamation. They go and dump into the sea by the knee, and then they claim land. So you don't see in Singapore as though they have a waste problem. See? So and that dry product finally is after you come out, basah-basah sikit lah. Then once you dry or you put it dry in the air, then you get the so that thing, 15% of the product can be used for boiler. That means the boiler also you don't need electricity, it's self quote unquote like financing lah. 15% of the product can go for the boiler, to power the boiler. So 85% you boleh jual. 85% can be sold or whatever you want to do about it. Sometimes you can also use it in cement production. So if you have a cement factory, then you can go to, that's why they put a cement kiln there. Right? So Singapore is using it. Some people buy it for production of electricity. So I went to visit a plant in Indonesia because if you, let's say you want to use entirely for production of electricity, you just have to make the boiler a bigger boiler. Make a bigger boiler, then all the 100% of the product you use for the powering the boiler, so the steamer will be converted into electricity. So it all depends what you want to do with it, with the product. Get it, eh? So ultimately, if you notice this technique, what is the first thing that you notice? You don't need any land, right? You don't need any land. Everything goes inside, comes out, is electricity already. So you save a lot on the land cost and management of land, everything, all the tipping fees. Government got to pay all these tipping fees because they're solving a problem for you, isn't it? So you have to give them money to go and tip the, so tipping fee, all this you can actually bypass in this method. And another good thing is, the only moment you will find the smell, bad smell coming on, is when you release. It's not actually a bad smell. The bad smell is actually the sampah, the garbage. Once it's cooked, when you open when you let go the steam, it will smell like coffee. So if you put it beside, let's say a warehouse or something, people might think you have a coffee factory there, not a garbage factory. So I went to, so when I talked to the professor, okay, I'd like to see a sample, this thing. So he told me his student, one of them who has done a PhD under him, he's done a factory in Indonesia, in a place called Serpong. So he invited me to go there, so I went with him to visit the place. So I'll show you the video of the place. It's a very nice. So this, this is for municipal solid waste 12 meter Padu and so on. You see this one. Watch the This is the one in Indonesia. See, they have a big like a turbine like this. The lorry will come immediately from the lorry direct into the thing. There's no landfill, something like that. So some sorting takes place, especially metals and so on. They have also got a magnet to pull out any magnets. So you see, the factory is so clean. You don't see garbage all over the place, Kapaga. It's very clean. Panko is only at 10 tons. Bill 80 million ringgit, and then it's white elephant, right? This one is 100 tons. See, when you let go, it will become a black paste like that, and just the smoke, smells like coffee. This is the product ultimately, and it is actually combustible lah, boleh dibakar. Pardon? Ah, nothing. It's water. It is actually vapor. There's some, water. So that is the, see, a simple, you see, so the cost of that whole thing is only about 4 million USD, which is 16 million our. So imagine for 100 tons, you only need about 16 to 20 million ringgit. But the other one was just for 10, it is 80. And then yes, a lot of, and you have a lot of working, what do you call that, parts, the earlier one, in incinerator. So this is, but the good thing, another good thing about this technology is that it can also not only process municipal solid waste, it can also process animal manure, that means tai ayam semua, right? Then sewage sludge, all the things from your toilet, everything can go inside. And also the empty fruit bunch from the EFBs from oil palm, the fruit. After you take the fruits, you can also process these three. You see, Indonesia and here Malaysia, we have a lot of oil palm plantation, right? Isn't it? So we can process all, and the same plant can actually process all of them. So morning you can process the MSW, afternoon can process the chicken manure, or the FBs and so on. So many. So what is the good thing for the Banjung? Why this thing? Because the chicken farm, all they got to do is send all the chicken manure to and you process it. Come out, it becomes very high quality fertilizer. So in this process, the first is you target for fertilizer, because fertilizer gives you a better return than the energy. Fertilizer is the first. Cannot, then only you go to the next, to turn it into energy. All right. So it can turn all of them into this. Another thing is that empty fruit bunch. Now also people make solid fuel. They just crush them and then make them into solid pellets, and then they sell. But countries like Japan and this, they don't want, because when you burn them, apparently it also, when you process them, they tend to clog the machines and things like that because of the high potassium content or whatever, But once it goes through this process, it becomes a very uniform and beautiful pellets. And then when you burn, it doesn't release those materials. So the moment you pass the whole thing, you have been into this process, it becomes, your sales can go triple times this. So when I was in Indonesia, so I saw people from palm oil industry also looking at it. I asked them, you're already producing pellets. Why are you, after all, after this, you're also going to produce the pellets? So they say it solves that one additional problem for them. So the product becomes, even more sellable overseas. So Japan, South Korea, they will tend to buy. So you see, it has a lot of and then this one I was just trying to, so it also solved the fly problem. The moment you solve the chicken manure problem through this, the fly problem also solved. Because the flies, they suka pergi bertelur, tai ayam. They like to go and lay their eggs on the chicken droppings. So the waste to fertilizer, that means, let's say you use for chicken manure, so you put all the manure into the system. It will have a high content, water content initially, but after the process, you are interested in the water side of it, the water component, because that's where the fertilizer is, the nitrogen, potassium, and kalium. So you get that on here. Then the dry, solid part of it, you will go to power the entire thing again. We can burn this. We can burn this to get the electricity to run the entire thing again. So it is self-sustaining. That means you don't need to buy power from any electricity. In fact, they were telling if you do this beside a power plant, like a TNB being a power plant, Manjung ada one TNB power plant. So you take the steam from them, right? Because they will have a lot of steam. You just push it part of the steam here. Then out of the products that you put, you give them to power, to power. So it's like a butter. Okay, you give us the steam, we give you the part of the product that can be used for the boiler. Get it, eh? So these are some of the benefits of the India. But this, you see, the professor told me this, but I find it myself also difficult to believe. When they produce this fertilizer from Japan and this thing, they can sell the fertilizer for 36,000 USD per ton. So I thought there was a lot, but he says there's a price they sell. This is from his own. So these are some of the plants he has in China, Japan, and so on. China, Japan, they have also got another machine to clear up the present landfills. So present landfills, the organic part, some of the jadi tanah dah, okay? But you have the plastics. Some of the plastics will be there for years, the plastics, the slippers and the tires and everything. So this machine will dig up the whole thing, then it will go through the thing and then it will, clean up, skid the earth and everything, then go into this system. Still profitable, even though the organic part is no longer there. Still profitable. They can bring the machine and clear up the entire land and give the land back to the government. So look at the emission data after you go through this process. That one is Japanese standard. Japanese standard willing to accept 300, although I forgot, the hydrogen chloride and all those. These are things that you don't want in the air. But you see, after you go through this process, you see how low the emission numbers are? Isn't it? So this process, that's why this process is highly they recommend. Because ultimately it solves a lot of these hazardous material issues. I think it's my phone, I think. Sorry, it's inside the bag, but it's ringing. So the benefits are almost all waste can be processed without even sorting. Without even sorting, almost all waste can go inside. All right? The process is scalable from as low as 20 tons or 10, even 10 tons also can. Even lower than that also can usually, because they just have to make the reactor for what you need, what size you need. So it is 20 tons per day to hundreds of tons per day. So process is orderless basically. I mean, it's actually when it releases the thing, there's order, as I told you, it's like coffee, coffee smell. But and there's no real order problem, and also it creates no noise pollution. No noise pollution basically in India. And the product has economic value and hence profitable business venture. I tell you, some of you are interested in this. It is actually highly profitable. When I was interviewing, some of the these waste management areas, some of these workers, do you see them in the lorries behind, after some time they just stop doing it. When they see the value things they can get from the, and then they start actually collecting the recyclable items and things like that, they make much more money. I'll show you the numbers, you'll be surprised. Yeah, many of them, they stop after a while. Once they see, hey, this is lucrative. And then solves MSW problem effectively with minimal land requirement, and product does not attract flies, rats and everything, and the product is hygiene. It does not promote disease and so on, and relatively very cheap. Because even making boiler is not this thing. Malaysia has this technology boilers for a long time because we have the palm oil industry. All palm oil plantation, they have this boiler. So rule of thumb is 100 tons per day plant costs about 5 million USD. I purposely add 1 million because of inflation. The actual amount when it is about 4 million USD. So 5. And you can look at about a return on investment, something like about 25%. Right? But the actual return depends on the content of your MSD, what kind of thing, and then all those things need to be analyzed. So this is the German technology. See, this German technology is basically, you see at the top there, all the organic waste from households, everything will come there, and also wastewater and sludge from the toilets and everything, all will go there. Then it will turn the wastewater into clean water, and then the sludge will go into that's first thing. The sludge will go into the processing. Then animal manure, all will come there. So once it goes through this process, it gives you organic fertilizer, another phosphor fertilizer, bioplastic, and the biogas is used for heating and electricity. In fact, this I was also checking, I was comparing between the Japanese and the German. The German company, you know what they say? They say we will bring even all the money also. You don't even need to bring that. We'll bring the technology, the money, but all we want from you is a guarantee of the MSW. The government must say the MSW collected from the households must be given to them. And then they're willing to share part of the revenue with the government. That means it's totally, will make it a profitable venture, the German. But the Germans are very clever. They put the price very, very high. They put the price very, very high as though they bring so much of money into the, So for you to, after that, go away, retract also susah. Once you see the, So they are willing to give, even no tipping fee, nothing, you don't have to give them. They will all give us a small land to operate the thing, and that's it, and guarantee the garbage. That's the only thing they want.